Happy Monday, everybody. Welcome in to Payoff Pitch. We are Action Network's MLB betting podcast. Monday, July 31st, 2023. It's bizarre to think when you say July 31st, today is not the MLB trade deadline. Tomorrow is August 1st. Just when you hear July 31st, it kind of gives you the goosebumps thinking what might happen before 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock. I think it's 4 o'clock. But the deadline's tomorrow. A lot of moves from over the weekend, which we can mix and match into today's show if there are thoughts that apply to a specific game. 10-game slate. Brendan Glasheen with Sean Zerillo and BJ Cunningham. We are with you tomorrow as well. So if there's any news to react to over the course of today that goes into tomorrow, we'll get to it. And then we've got an episode coming your way on Friday, post-deadline. So that is where we are this week with the MLB trade deadline on Tuesday. Zerillo, we'll stick to best bets to start us off. And like I said, if you guys have thoughts on any of these moves that might kind of filter into picks for today or futures, we can certainly discuss. You're on a team that actually will not move one of their star players in Cody Bellinger. The Chicago Cubs are one of your best bets for this Monday slate. Why is that?
Yeah, I like the Chicago Cubs up to about minus 120. Very important divisional series here between the Cubs and the Reds. The Cubs currently between 4 and 5 to 1 to win the NL Central. The Reds sitting around plus 150. The Brewers currently about even money and favored. But in terms of this series and game one of this series specifically, you know, Andrew Abbott, a guy who I like as a pitcher, similar story with Bryce Elder, though. Guys who I think are good pitchers whose underlying indicators suggest that they're nowhere near their current ERAs. Abbott with a 1.9 ERA. Since he came up to the big leagues, it's the third best ERA amongst all pitchers. But in terms of strikeout minus walk rate, expected FIP, he ranks closer to league average. He has a 222 batting average on balls in play, a strand rate of about 96%. League averages on those stats are around 373% respectively. So a long way to go just to get back to league average in those categories. Marcus Stroman has essentially been the same pitcher for the past 4 or 5 years. You look at his expected FIP relative to league average, he's essentially stayed right in line throughout his career. So I don't really make these pitchers very different from one another. Their pitching plus metrics are identical, 99 for both pitchers. So, the starting pitching here is relatively comparable, but the Cubs throughout most of the year were better against lefties than they were against righties. Those splits have kind of come neutral. I do project their offense, though, as slightly better than the Reds offense, and I give their bullpen a slight advantage, too. So the Cubs at home here, I made closer to minus 130, like their first 5 money line to minus 120. And I also like their first 5 money line to about minus 115. It didn't seem like that was in range when I woke up this morning, but keep an eye on that. Then I also like the total here too, but we'll get to that in 1 second because the under is the most popular pick of the day from a public betting perspective.
We will get to that. BJ, hi.
Hi.
Your best. BJ had discussed a lot Friday about sitting at a bench and reflecting. So I'm sure he used this wonderful weekend in Iowa to win some bets and reflect on life. So I'm glad he's back and made it to the podcast on Monday after that great advice. What is your best bet? Oh, you're making me laugh. What is your best bet for today, my friend?
I like the Marlins for the first 5 innings. Best price you can find out there is minus 104. Taijuan Walker is going to be pitching for the Phillies. He's starting to regress over the second half of the season. He had a rough start to the season, and then through May and June, he really started to find his form. And really what happened to him is that he started to limit his walks. And through May and June, his walk per 9 rate was below 3. But now that we've gotten into July, his walk per 9 rate is sitting at 4.94. And his stuff plus for the first half of the season has gone from 93 now down to just 89 in July. The thing about Taijuan Walker is when he's at his best, he's getting a lot of swings and misses down in the zone and producing ground balls. It's got to be essentially both of those things because his 3 main pitches are a splitter, sinker, and a fastball. And the splitter has been decently effective this season, but his sinker and his fastball have not been effective really at all. His stuff plus rating is below 95 on both those pitches. Edward Cabrera is going to be on the mound for the Marlins. He's a positive regression candidate. ERA sitting at 4.7. Expected ERA down around 3.9. Cabrera has a very, very interesting profile in the fact that he's got an incredibly high K per 9 rate. It's up near around 11, and his stuff plus is at 102, but he has an insanely high walk per 9 rate at 5.6. The good news for him in this matchup is the Phillies are bottom 10 in Major League Baseball in walk percentage. They have the third highest chase rate in all of Major League Baseball. And Cabrera's main pitch is a changeup that he likes to throw down and low inside the lefties, which has been very effective against them because of splits versus lefties and righties. He's allowing a 295 weighted on base average to lefties and a 349 weighted on base average to righties. He's also someone that's pitched much, much better at home this season. He has a 3.2 xFIP at Lone Depot Park, and away from home, he's got a 4.97 xFIP. So pretty drastic splits for Cabrera. So I like the matchup here for the Marlins. I projected them at minus 131 for the first 5 innings. So I think there's decent value on them at minus 104.
Excellent. Okay. That's kind of a sink or swim series too for Miami if they want to hang around in the race in the NL East. So as Zerillo teased a moment ago, Cubs, Reds, big series for that division. That division continues to be a roller coaster. But we took a different approach today for Fade the Public. We're looking at a total. Cubs and Reds total set at 8 runs. Still 8 runs for the game tonight at Wrigley Field over at BetMGM. You can still get it at 8. Under is at minus 105, over at minus 115. Zerillo, I'm sure we're going to talk about, this is where DeBundo would be great to give his wind analysis, but we're at Wrigley Field.
Don't worry. I got it.
All right.
If Sean doesn't have it, I got it right here.
You just kind of get ready now to do your DeBundo,
right here.
Your voice, your DeBundo impersonation. 95% of the bets, 99% of the cash coming in on the under, Zerillo. What do you have for thoughts on that?
Yeah, concerns me that the public is so heavy in the under and it hasn't moved since overnight. I bet this at 8. Like it up to about 8 minus 110, projected it closer to 7.5. The wind blowing in from right field at about 6 to 8 miles an hour. But this game, with that wind and the weather, also triggered our Wrigley Field under system per Bet Labs. It's not why I bet it, to be very clear. I bet it because I projected the total at 7.5 after adjusting my own wind and weather. But this Action Labs Wrigley Field under system since 2005 has hit at a 60% clip and returned a 15% ROI, betting unders that fit the criteria for this system. So I like that I'm aligned with the system. I'm concerned that the public percentages are so heavily tilted to the under, and it has not moved off of 8 and gone down to 7.5 since last night. 8, not even a key number. So the fact that it has not moved off of it does concern me slightly. Haven't seen an umpire yet. It's a new series, so we won't get the umpires, unfortunately, until a couple of hours before the game. So that's just unknown information. Maybe my total goes up. Maybe it goes down based on the umpire. But based on the players on the field, I made this closer to 7.5. So under 8 to minus 110, the side that I like. Hopefully the public is right tonight.
Okay, BJ, what do you got for thoughts on this? The weather?
Yep. I projected before accounting for weather, this total at 8.2. So I'm pretty in line with where the market has the total. So I don't really have anything. The funny thing is I was looking up Andrew Abbott's stats, and I know everybody's going to point to his strand rate around 96%, which you can say is not sustainable, and it's not. But the funny thing about him is in AAA this season in 38 innings, he had a 94% strand rate there. And then last season in high A ball had a 97% strand rate there as well. So I don't know if he's like Houdini and like we just need to accept that he just strands runners and that's just what he does. But, obviously he's not a 1.9 ERA type pitcher, but he's still a 3.3 expected ERA there. So he's like still pitching very, very well. He's just not, like Sean said, he's not third best ERA in Major League Baseball type of pitcher. So, I project this close to where the market has. So I have to pass on this.
I like Abbott as a pitcher. I think he has really good feel for pitching. He pitches backwards pretty frequently. A lot of breaking balls early in counts, getting called strikes with the curveball and slider when batters are looking for fastballs. So maybe eventually the league adjusts to that. They start looking for the breaking balls early in counts and looking for the fastball later. But I just think he's an interesting arm. The stuff plus is in the low 80s. It's like 83 stuff plus, but he has a really nice command, particularly of his breaking balls. And he's using those to get ahead with called strikes a lot. So yes, the stuff plus numbers don't blow you away, but the way he's pitching, I think that's why he's exceeded, expected metrics or his projection, just because he's kind of pitching backwards and keeping hitters off balance.
Cubs are 4 out of the Reds for the division. So that should be a fun weekend. And tonight we are, Zerillo at least, BJ's staying away, but we're looking at maybe a lower scoring game. That's what the
4-3 Cubs. Let's go.
Okay,
that's right.
Well, I'm just happy you said Cubs system at one point. Or it's not the system that DeBundo gives out. It's a different system we're talking about. So you can be very careful with how we.
Yes, our Wrigley Field unders system. 70 unit profit. If you would bet that consistently across about 400 bets since 2005. So plus 70 units across 400 bets, 15% ROI. It's, something, listen, like as betting becomes more public and people become more aware of things to look at, yes, that ROI has shrunk over time, but it's still a decent indicator that the weather is in the right place for an under.
Favorite underdog for Monday? See, we got a consensus dog again. I think Zerillo's got one to add as well for today. But why don't you go with the one that's different from BJ, and then you can discuss the one that you're both in alignment on.
Yeah, so both the underdogs, unfortunately, moved out of range from where I bet them. If you can get the Rockies at plus 185, I like them quite a bit. I believe it moved down from plus 185 to plus 175. Just a model projected edge. Austin Gomber has been much better of late than he was earlier in the season. I was betting against Gomber pretty consistently in his recent starts. I've been betting unders, and I've been betting on him. So just his command has been so improved from where he was earlier in the year. 101 location plus in his last 8 starts. 16% strikeout minus walk rate over that span as well. So above league average, 4.2 expected FIP. He's been pretty solid for the past 2 months. You look at those season long metrics, you look at last year's metrics, ERA, xERA over 6, he looks horrid, but the past 2 months, he's actually been pretty effective, showing decent command. So Gomber at home, Seth Lugo, the better pitcher, 101 pitching plus, 4.3 expected ERA. But there's really no reason why the Padres should be as significant of favorites here as they are. They are better against lefties and righties, but the Rockies, a team, one of the worst in baseball, and a team along with the Royals, the A's, who you might find value betting on a game-to-game basis. So pick your spots with the Rockies. I do like them here, though, to plus 185. And I also like the under 12 at minus 110 or better. I believe that has moved closer to 11.5. And then BJ, and I also like the Angels. I'll let him expound more on them, but Charlie Morton basically in each one of his starts has been popping up as a guy who is worse, I think, than the betting market says that he is. 4.65 expected ERA this season. That is way down from past years. His strikeout minus walk rate has fallen below the major league average. So again, the Braves, a team I don't want to bet against every day, but in each of Charlie Morton's starts, it seems like he pops up as a guy that the model wants me to bet against because his underlying metrics are nowhere near his ERA, and his pitching plus, his stuff plus has dropped off relative to past seasons too. So a lot of cracks in Charlie Morton's profile, a guy I'm probably going to keep betting against the rest of the way.
Are they going to have those acquisitions available today? CJ Cron?
They should,
Grichuk?
yes. They said that they would be there tonight. I don't know if they'll be in the starting lineup, but they should be on the bench at least.
Okay. It's Grichuk, right? Do I get that right?
Randall Grichuk and CJ Cron. Randall Grichuk taken the pick before Mike Trout in the same draft.
Okay. Randall Grichuk and CJ Cron acquired just yesterday by the LA Angels. They keep adding. They're adding more to appease Ohtani, as BJ kind of predicted the other day. Just buy. What the hell? Forget it. We'll figure out the farm system and everything else later. Really,
I mean, Sean Cerrillo is the smartest baseball mind that I know, and he can tell you that it's so dumb what they're doing. But who cares? Like, let's just have some fun when you have a generational talent. Like, he's not going to resign. So what's the big deal?
I feel the worst for the prospect people because I've already seen, like, how the hell am I supposed to find 20 Angels prospects in 2 months? And the people who do top 30 prospect lists are like, ready to blow their brains out. This farm system is going to have nothing left.
Yeah. And I'll tell you who cares. Taking an Angels under is getting kind of annoying now. Yeah. That's annoying. But Zerillo, BJ, and I, with Charlie, discussed on Friday, knowing the Angels, they'll get Trout back and get worse. Just because that's just how it goes.
Yeah.
Go ahead, BJ. You got thoughts on the Angels? Angels are winning games, and now this is this is a nice test. They're in Atlanta tonight.
They are. Yeah. This is big for them. They obviously are, I think they're 4 back right now. So they really need to start making up games in a hurry with the rest of the AL East. But yeah, Sean hit the nail on the head that, Charlie Morton has been a big time negative regression candidate with his expected ERA being a full run higher than his actual ERA. And I think this is kind of what it boils down to for Charlie Morton is that, he's got basically 2 pitches, a curveball and a fastball. He uses his curveball pretty frequently. It's, I think, around close to 45% of the time, I want to say. And he's been very, very good with it. It's got a 38% whiff rate. Stuff plus rating is like 140 on that. Opposing hitters only a 245 expected weighted on base average. But his fastball has been terrible. Like opponents have a 402 expected weighted on base average against that pitch, and it only has a stuff plus of 75. So he's really only got one pitch. So when hitters can key in on that and then just look for a different pitch, that's when you start to struggle. And guess what? The Angels are a great offense against right-handed pitching, the fourth best weighted on base average in Major League Baseball. They have a plus 17 run value against right-handed curveballs this season. Griffin Canning will be on the mound for the Angels. I mean, he's an average Major League starting pitcher. He's got a 4.05 expected ERA. It's like he's generating a decent number of swings and misses. He's got a low walk per nine rate. He's got to fix a home run problem to make him seem somewhat above average. But taking an average Major League starting pitcher against what Charlie Morton's expected metrics tell us, which is average to below average right now, like there is a decent amount of value on the Angels, who again are also good against right-handed pitching. Now, like Sean says many times, the Braves will hit 3 home runs in the first inning and this thing will be over. But I project the Angels at plus 150 or at plus 154. So I think there's still a decent enough edge at the best price at plus 185 right now. I wouldn't play it above or below 175. That's probably my lowest that I would go to. But I think there's some decent value on fading Charlie Morton.
Yeah, I mean, across the board, Canning has the better metrics this season. 4.05 expected ERA, Morton at 4.6. 18.5% strikeout minus walk, Morton at 14%. Yeah. 102 pitching plus, Morton at 99. So I project Charlie Morton as a slightly better pitcher, but all of the underlying indicators, the pitch modeling metrics, say that Griffin Canning has been better this season. Yes, Morton has a better defensive team behind him probably, but there's not much of a difference between these two arcs. All
righty. Angels projected over at Pacoda, 24% chance to make the playoffs right now. Slightly moving up, but yeah, I mean, the Blue Jays series wasn't great.
Fangraphs 16%, so even lower.
Okay, there you go. Big series against Atlanta for them. All right, couple more, and then we'll get out of here. Cirillo, you've got a dog and another favorite that you'd like to touch on for today, and then BJ's got a homer pick to wrap the show.
Yeah, just a couple of price targets to keep an eye out for. Arizona's line had not opened when I woke up. Right as we started the podcast, it came out at plus 130. If that moves up to plus 135 or better, you can bet the Diamondbacks today. They're struggling a little bit. Lourdes Gurriel stopped hitting. It seems like they might not make the playoffs and cash our plus 400 snakes to make the playoffs tickets, but we'll see. But plus 135 or better today for Arizona looks like a bet for me. And then Toronto, the line has been open since last night. I bet their first 5 line at minus 125. That moved up. But their full game line is curiously moving down today. It's come down to minus 135. If you're able to get a minus 135 or better on Toronto, I would play that. Projected their line closer to minus 145. So 2 price targets I'm keeping an eye on for Monday slate. And I also want to touch on briefly the American League West, with the Rangers making a couple of additions or a couple of key additions. Max Scherzer, Jordan Montgomery, Chris Stratton, all getting added to their pitching staff. Pacoda still has the Astros winning the division 65% of the time. Fangraphs has it at 47% for Houston, 44% for Texas. So both projections, like the Astros to still win the division, they're both sitting at around even money right now. I believe Texas might be minus 120. Houston might be even money. Yes, you can absolutely just bet them in head-to-head games the rest of the way. But based on that Fangraphs projection that has Houston ahead of Texas, based on the fact that Pacoda has Houston at 65%, they're sitting a game back. I bet the Astros at plus 120 at the All-Star break to win the AL West. Even with Texas making these moves, I don't mind betting Houston at even money here. Yordan back, Jose Altuve back. We'll see if they make any moves at the deadline, but they don't need to for me to like the Astros where they currently are.
Yep. Yeah, I remember the episode we did that. I think that was during the break that we did that, or the Friday after the break, right before the second half really got started.
And they moved from 4 games back to a game back, and their price really hasn't changed much. So
yeah, we discussed that series last week going in when those two teams faced each other. American League West winner at BetMGM, Rangers minus 110, Astros plus 100.
Yeah, I like that even money, even minus 110, I think is fine. Again, like it's not a great number. You could just bet them straight up against the Rangers when they play. But if you're looking for an edge, I think that's a decent edge.
Okay. Astros right now sit 1 game back. And
I might add more. I'm not sure, but I might.
Okay. Well,
we gotta look at the schedule.
We know where to find you. The next time those two teams meet in Texas, in Arlington, September 4th. They have 1 series left against each other.
That'd be a big series.
Yep. One series left against each other. It's in Arlington, the 4th, the 5th, and the 6th. We'll be here for 2 of those days, everybody. That's for sure. Okay, BJ, and you like the Red Sox tonight?
I do. Nick Pavetta's back in the rotation, Brendan.
Yeah. Why are we messing that up? Like, he's good second inning and beyond. Why are we messing up this juju?
I mean, this bet right here is a bet on Pivetta on what he's done as a reliever. I understand that he was much worse as a starter in the beginning of the season. I mean, his xFIP was sitting around 4.8, and now as a reliever, he's been outstanding. 3.2 xFIP. His K per 9 rate is like almost closer to 13 as a reliever. Like, he's been excellent. I mean, he has like a 0.8 whip. Like, he's been so good. And this is his chance to get back into the rotation. And he's going to be facing a below average Mariners lineup against right-handed pitching. So the Red Sox have advantages offensively. George Kirby has been obviously very good this season. 3.9 xERA is good, but not anywhere to be not considered elite. So I give the Red Sox advantages offensively. And it's just dependent on how you project Nick Pivetta. If you project him as what his starter metrics were at the beginning of May, yeah, like the Mariners should be deserving favorites. But if you want to project in a little bit of what he's done as a reliever so far this season, I think there's a decent edge here on the Red Sox for the first 5 innings. Your plus 117 is the best price you can find right now.
All right. Are you ready? You're ready, by the way, when they don't do anything tomorrow, right? You're prepared for that when they say we got Chris Sale and Trevor Story and Garrett Whitlock and Tanner Houck coming back. You're ready for that, right? Because that's happening.
I know. I'm ready for it. I want one more starter, but I don't really see anybody else on the market that I'm going to get too excited about.
Yep. I warned you like a month ago this was going to happen.
Okay, and we're fine.
Chaim Bloom is already planting those seeds, and that wouldn't shock me if they
Whitlock, Hawk, Sale all coming back. Like, add him to
get the duck boats ready, man.
Yeah, add him to Bayo and Crawford. Like, let's go. Get them ready.
Yep. Book your flight. I'll put you up here, and we'll go to the duck boats, and we'll have a great time.
I'm actually intrigued by this
in Boston.
Red Sox matchup against Kirby, because Kirby is a guy we know has the lowest walk rate in baseball. Yep. The Red Sox pretty patient, generally speaking. Yep. So I'm curious to see how that kind of aligns with, do they get more aggressive swinging at first pitches? Is he going to have a very low pitch count, record a ton of outs because they're swinging at everything early because they know they're going to get strikes? So Kirby's almost struck me as a guy whose command is too good. Maybe he figures out like the Zach Greinke mold as he ages and is able to use that amazing command to like tease hitters a little bit more and get stuff into that shadow area as opposed to leaving it in the zone. But yeah, a very effective pitcher, but also at the same time, it seems to me like that 5th inning, second time through the lineup, guys sort of get a better look at him and figure him out. So an interesting matchup against a very good offensive team who is patient, but needs to be aggressive tonight.
And this is a big week for, the Red Sox and the Mariners, but the Mariners more so. They're 4.5 out in the wild card, so they're going to make any noise. This is a big week.
The playoff races are a lot of fun right now. They are. Expanded wild card got a lot of hate, I think, when it first came out. But it's made all but 4 teams essentially in the hunt. So yeah, I'm excited to see moves we get in the next 24 hours because as we talked about before the podcast started, Baltimore, Boston, the Yankees, the AL East teams who have basically dominated the other divisions this year have not made a move yet.
And the fact that the baseball god is only going to be in LA, with the Angels for 2 more months, and just all these panic moves to try and appease them is just fantastic.
I would love it. This is something like if I was playing Dynasty mode in Major League Baseball or like MLB The Show, I would so do this.
Okay. Well, we'll see if they do more before
and
tomorrow.
You keep resetting the game when Ohtani signs.
Exactly, because you can just reset the game. It's fine.
Reset that game.
Find Sean Zerillo and BJ Cunningham in the Action app if they do add any more for tonight's slate. Just 10 games. Off day for some teams, of course. Rate, review, and subscribe if you haven't done so already. We return tomorrow. We're here. We obviously today. We're back tomorrow. We have Friday. So anything trade deadline related that might be applicable to the show. If a big name like a Scherzer, we know a Scherzer got moved, but if a Verlander gets moved or something like that, we'll certainly hit on it. And maybe if the Angels just sell more of their farm system. You all have a great Monday. Thanks for listening to Payoff Pitch, Action Network's MLB betting podcast presented by BetMGM. Talk to you all again tomorrow.